All the way from the start, I can feel it in my heart, like all the way from the start.
Hey, what's going on out there? I'm Sean Devine. Hope you all are doing well. Today I've got a new tutorial. This is by request. Aren't they all these days? But this one is about recording vocals with compression. So I get a lot of questions on the channel about whether or not I track or record with compression applied going into the DAW. I do this, and it can be particularly advantageous to utilize this to really balance out your performance. Some of you who may not have the most advanced mic technique, maybe your dynamics are pretty wide ranging, a little bit of subtle tracking compression can go a long way. So you don't want to cake on a ton of compression. You know, my personal suggestion with tracking compression is, again, to use it very subtly. So I'm going to show you how I'm doing that. We're going to talk about gain reduction. That's something that you want to keep an eye on. In my case, with the Aphex channel, you're going to keep an eye on this meter right here, which is showing us how much gain reduction is happening. And in terms of tracking with compression, I don't want to see any more than 2 to 4 dB of gain reduction. The reason for this is we want to make sure that this tracking compression is doing a couple of very important things. Number one, it's keeping us from clipping the preamp. That is a nightmare. Any of you who are mix engineers, if there's been a recording where the preamp clipped during the performance, there's no going back from that. So you can try some magic tricks all you want, but it's a nightmare to deal with. So if you distort your mic, you clip the preamp, it's not something fun to deal with after the fact. So a little bit of tracking compression can keep that from happening. And so, for instance, like right now, if I was to get loud, if I start getting really loud, you see the compressor is engaging. You can see that there, and we're not clipping. But if I turn the compressor off and I get a little louder, did you hear that? I distorted the preamp. Sorry to startle some of y'all. I clipped in the DAW, and we just don't have that subtle glue to the performance. Now, the other thing that this really helps with is it makes it to where if we've got a little bit of compression going in, we can get some of the character of the outboard compressor, and then we can combine it with the compressors that we're using in the mixing process with plugins. So y'all probably remember me talking about this in some of my other videos. I have a video about serial compression. This is a technique where we're utilizing multiple compressors that are not having to work as hard, but together it's going to give us a better sound versus having one compressor doing all the heavy work. So I'll put a link to that video up here, but let's go ahead and I'm going to set this again. You want to make sure to set your compressor in this way where the gain reduction is going to be very subtle. So as far as setting your compressor, you can see here that I have my gain set pretty low on the preamp, and then I have the output of the channel much higher just so that y'all can hear this more easily. Make sure you've optimized your noise floor, and then keep the preamp low, and then have just a bit of gain reduction to keep us in check. But let's go ahead and track with this just so you can hear what it sounds like and also see what the wave looks like when we track with this compression setting. So I've got a verse here. Let's go ahead and lay this down. I'm out of breath from talking. Take a couple deep breaths. Yeah. I've been going through it lately, testing my patience. This world wants to break me down. Some of y'all seeking, I'm giving. Fruits of the labor, y'all flexing, I'm living aloud. Aging like fine wine, I'm counting these pennies, place the highest values on my time. Try to be a son of the Most High, reflect brightness and contrast and low vibes to the death. Lack of balance and not enough rest. Doubt take me through the fire, woke up in cold sweats. She whispers I equate to nothing, but we all know you're up to something, cause my soul stays heavy like the D-line. Place my worth up above, never anchor to your love or acceptance. Even when I get quite reckless, I made it through the darkness, thank heavens. All right, so you can take a look at the waveform now. You can see we've got a nice, consistent, dynamic performance there, and that is attributed a lot to that tracking compression. If we turn that off, you're going to see my dynamics are going to be a little bit more wider range. There's not going to be as much glue there. This compressor is really a preventative measure. Maybe, the artist has something where it's just incredible. Everybody in the studio is excited. And then you find out that the preamp distorted or the microphone distorted or clipped. That's a problem. And that is not fun to have to try to fix. All right, y'all. So I gave you a listen of what is happening when I'm tracking with compression, why I'm doing this. Again, it just allows things to be a lot more consistent, helps your dynamics, gives you some glue, and it also gives you a head start in terms of using serial compression to give you a much more dynamically and sonically pleasing vocal performance. So if you have any questions about the specifics of the compression settings I have here on the Aphex channel or on any compressor for that matter, feel free to leave a comment below. If you learned anything in the video, please like, subscribe, and consider sharing. We'll talk to you soon.